All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to something different. This is still going to be about D&D. Specifically, this is a response to the video that Dael Kingsmill just released, and not really a response as much as it inspired me to talk about a very similar topic. For those of you that are going, who's Dael? Dael is one of the two authors that wrote that incredible Heroes and Villains of the Theros supplement that I spent like 9 hours to talking about. And she is an amazing, wonderful person. She and I have known each other for a few years at least now. And yeah, she's this amazing Australian YouTuber that does a lot of stuff about the D&D, and also does a ton of stuff about myths and legends and stuff like that, and was one of the Geek and Sundry vloggers for a number of years back when they did that. So she's just a super cool. She recently released a video to talking about how to overcome the DM anxiety, which if you're not quite sure what that means, she actually explains it in the video really well. I'm not going to summarize the entire video. I do really think you should watch it. There's a link in the description down below, and I'm going to try to do one of these like a card things, so I think it'll be up there to link to her video. I don't know if I can get that to work, but I'm going to try. Anyway, so the DM anxiety is basically when a DM feels a lot of anxiety or apprehension while running the game or going up to the game, and it just never really gets better. It's completely normal to be anxious when you're performing in general. And that's what playing an RPG is. You're performing, whether you're a player or the DM, you're performing. However, a lot of DMs feel an almost overwhelming sense of kind of dread and anxiety because of just how much pressure we put on the DM. And Dael's video goes over a ton of the things that she does that has helped her, and I think are really good tips and tricks to just get more comfortable DMing. And learning your own DM style. But I want to kind of take a slightly different approach to the idea of DM anxiety, and talk about something that I don't generally hear a lot of people to talk about, which is the idea that as the DM, it is not your you are not solely responsible for the group having a good time. And a lot of people think that's how it works. And I've seen this with some of my players, not only in my own games, but again, I used to run at conventions, and something that would happen on a fairly regular basis, especially in a convention setting where they're actually paying to come to the convention, so they're expecting to be entertained. When they sit down with a DM, they kind of treat the DM as like, a stand-up comic or a performer at a concert or something like that, where they're saying effectively, "Hey, we paid so that you will make us feel good. It's not our job to do anything. We've already done what we're supposed to do, which is whatever we paid to get here. Now you need to make us feel good. You need to make sure that we have a good time. And that's not how RPGs will work. However, it is how a lot of people, and I'm not just saying players, I know a ton of DMs, and I myself am guilty of this. I think I've even said in other videos that it's my job to ensure everyone's having a good time, which is true to a point. But that's not the whole truth. And this is something that I myself have ever run into. I've had some really bad experiences that almost shied me away from running games at all anymore. They were just so negative. And it all comes down to the idea of, well, if the table's not having fun, it's my fault. And that's not true. Everybody at the table should be working together to ensure everyone is having fun. That's the whole point of this. And that's something that scares a lot of the DMs away from DMing, is like, well, I don't know if I'm interested enough and I don't want to bore them. Even Dael mentions the things in there about, well, what if the players are disinterested? That must be my fault. Yes and no. Again, part of the role of the DM is keeping things moving forward. The things that you do have control over, you should be using those controls to make sure everyone's having a good time. And by the way, everyone includes you, the DM. I want to share a story about. For me, personally, this was the worst. This was the worst RPG experience I've ever had. I'm not gonna say where it happened, but because I still haven't dealt fully. It's been a little while, but I still haven't dealt fully with the experience on my end, and I also don't want to call anyone out. But to suffice it to say, I was running a long-term campaign with friends. And something happened that I'm not going to get into on the table that made me basically just stop the session and say, hey, everybody, let's talk. Because what happened here in the game wasn't okay. So we need to let's just sit down and talk, and let's just see what's going on. And one of my players flat out, I can't remember if they started the conversation with this or it was one of the first things they said, flat out told me, I haven't had fun in this game in a year and a half. And that was like a shot to the heart for me. As far as just bad things you could say to me, if you really wanted to hurt me, that ranks up there with the worst things you could say to me personally. Because I take great pride in my ability to DM. It's one of the few things with my disabilities that I still can do relatively well. I'm not great at it, but I'm relatively good, and most people enjoy what I do. And this person just flat out said, I have not had fun in a year and a half. And then went on to berate me personally for some of the stuff that I done. And that's neither here nor there. But that one statement, I haven't had fun for a year and a half. For me, that was the epitome of what was wrong with the table at that point. Was the idea that I haven't had fun for a year and a half, and that is your fault. It's your job to make sure I have fun. And because I haven't had fun for a year and a half, it's your fault. And that's not true. If you have a player that is playing, whether it's weekly, monthly, whatever, and they're not having fun, then there's something definitely wrong, and it's has nothing to do, especially if it's for a long period of time. There's something wrong, and it has nothing to do with your DMing style. Has nothing to do with the plot of the game or the mechanics or anything like that. If you have a person that's playing in your game for a long period of time and not having fun, that is a communication problem. And communication problems happen on both sides of the conversation, but they require both sides to work together. So communication problems don't always have to be both sides, but to fix them, both sides have to work together, if that makes sense to you. And for months and months and months after that experience, I felt horrible. I beat myself up about it. I went into a really, really bad depression. I felt absolutely horrible. I was thinking about just giving up all of my games and everything I was running, stopping just playing RPGs all together, because I had done this horrible, disgusting thing to this person where I had forced them to play in this game and not have fun for over a year. What kind of monster subjugates people to something that's not fun and is just this huge chore for over a year? That's not cool. And it's only recently that I've started to realize, you know what, in that particular instance, I made, I'm not going to go into the entire reasons why there was issues on both sides there, because I did make, I was, at that point, I was still a relatively new DM, and I made some rookie mistakes and things like that. But so did the player in question in not talking to me for a year and a half and saying, hey, listen, this isn't fun. I don't want to do this anymore, because again, communication has to be there when you're playing a game, like this. So what I wanted to talk about in this very long-winded introduction is, Dael gave all these great tips that what you can do as a DM to make changes that'll keep things interesting and stuff like that. My focus is, what can you do as a DM to encourage your players to communicate with you and to take responsibility for their own enjoyment in the game. And I know this kind of sounds a little bit accusatory towards players, and that's not what I'm saying here. However, something I've learned over years of management and years of DMing is the players need to be invested in the story and the game for them to be able to have fun, and for the DM to be able to have fun. Like, they need to be invested in the game. It's one of the reasons why, and this is super secret, don't tell any of my players, or for future players. If you're a future player, never watch this. Okay, maybe you should. I have pretty high standards for people to play in my game. And what I mean by that is, I will do things like I'll write a campaign Bible, and I send it off to my players. I expect them to at least glance over it. Maybe not read absolutely everything in there, because people have lives in that. But I do expect them to read it. And I expect them not only to create a character, but they need to create a character that fits in the world I created. So I expect them to go, okay, this is where they're from. These are some of the formative moments. I do that for two reasons. One, I'm a very I'm an actor, or I was. Um, I believe all of your characters' choices should be based on core motivations, and core motivations come from impactful situations in your life. There will be these turning points that kind of burn themselves into your memory and into kind of your core of a functioning that will dictate how you respond to later events. Now, those core points don't always have to be there. They don't. It doesn't mean that you can never change after that, but they will affect you for your entire life. So that's one reason I want them to have motivations for their characters to do what they do. I think that makes for better role playing. The second one, which I don't think I've told any of them, so anyone that actually plays my games and you're finding this out for the first time, hi. I do this because it forces them to put effort into the campaign. But because I've had far too many times where people come with the idea that, hey, I'm paying you to entertain me, dance for me, monkey. And I've never actually been paid to be a DM, but they consider them showing up and bringing a character sheet as their payment. I did my job. I created a character. Now it's your turn. You do everything else. That's not how it works. It's not how it should work. It's not how it does work. And DMs that operate like this, like I did for a long time, hit burnout really, really quickly, because taking on the responsibility of the entire table's enjoyment is too much for anyone to handle. So I force my players, at least in the beginning, to put some effort in. I require most players, not all, but most players, to write me a backstory. And I'm not talking about, like a paragraph or something. I generally require like a page of background for their character. I use all of that, so there is a payoff to giving me all this information. And for players that aren't particularly good at writing backstories, I will sit down with them and we will build a backstory together. But again, I do all of this for the motivation, and so that they put some effort into this campaign. Because once they've put some effort into it, they're a lot less willing to just go, you know what? Screw this. You're not doing your job, so I'm not going to do mine either. They are going to want to continue something they've helped build. So the rest of this video is just going to be some tips I have discovered that will help you motivate your players to take personal responsibility for the campaign, just like you do. The DM puts more work generally outside of a game session to get everything going, with planning and everything like that. The players should be putting some effort, at least during the game, to ensuring everyone is having fun, including the DM. So like I said, the first thing I'm going to mention is make them put a little bit of effort in. Now, again, you don't want this to come across as accusatory or some sort of punishment or anything like that, or that it's some sort of payment that they're required to pay in order to be in your game, because that can create a very negative connotation. But you should start off by having them at least learn about the world that you're going to be playing in. If it's your own custom world, as a GM, write up at least a basic campaign Bible. The things that I have learned are most useful is I create a map with some major cities on it. I do a very, maybe a paragraph or two about each city, which basically describes kind of the climate of the city, what's it known for, what are the people that live there like about it. Um, and then other things like what are the deities. If you're using a pre-made deity system, then do that. Otherwise, give them the deities. Give them a map, even if it's super hastily drawn. Even if you take someone else's map and just to change the names or whatever. If you're taking other people's content, please be sure to credit them. But or if you're playing in a pre-made world, tell them, hey, listen, if you want to know about these are the books you can go to, or there's a wiki for everything now. So if you're playing in somewhere like the Forgotten Realms, you don't have to write anything. They don't need to buy any books. Just tell them, hey, this is the area we're going to be in. If you want to know about the different cities, just go to the Forgotten Realms wiki, and it'll tell you the whole history of the city. So yeah, at the beginning of your campaign, give them some sort of campaign Bible. It doesn't have to be extensive. It doesn't have to be 40 pages long, but just something that shows some locations, gives them a little information about what the world is like, and lets them know, kind of the hierarchy of how the things work. Is there a king? Is there a sovereign? That stuff, real basic stuff, but enough to make it seem like a world. And then have them create characters that fit in this world. I know there are a lot of players that will just build characters and just go, oh, I'm going to play this character in this campaign. And that's enough for them. I don't think that's going to build a good rapport with your players, and I don't think it's going to get them invested in the campaign. They're only going to care about their character. I'm not saying you can't make a pre-built character. The campaign that I'm going to be running soon has, I think most of the players are playing a character they built either for another campaign or built before the campaign started. And that's perfectly fine. But make sure to go, okay, well, if this is the character you want to play, let's fit them into this world. Give that character a connection to the world, because that's going to make them want to know how their connections work. And if you're not a really, really good DM, or you don't, you're not good at keeping track of all this stuff, take notes. I myself, I haven't been able to figure out why. I've mentioned it to a couple of my therapists. They don't know why, but I have really, really huge problems with writing things down. It's gotten a lot worse since the tremor, because I can't physically write things, and when I do, it takes forever, and I can't read them. But even to typing, it just gives me this huge sense of anxiety if I'm typing or recording things while I'm running a game. So if you're not like me, where I can kind of compartmentalize and keep things in my head long enough to get through a session, write things down, do little cards, post-it notes, whatever you need to do. If your players are going to put in the effort to connect their characters to your world, the very least you can do is keep track of that somehow. I actually have my players write down their backgrounds, and then I keep them, and I will reference them during the game. So first things first, at the beginning of the campaign, get them to connect their characters to the world somehow. It will give them incentive to do this. Second thing, encourage talking about the campaign outside of the campaign. I know there are some DMs that don't like this stuff because they consider it metagaming if you try and plan stuff when you're not at the table. It ends poorly. Unless you have really, really dedicated, talented players that are already invested in the campaign, if you forbid them to talk about the campaign outside of the campaign, they're not going to care about the campaign when they're in the campaign. It has to be something that they think about more than once a week, once every other week. And the best way to do that I've found is talk to the players about their characters. Talk to them about, hey, what are you thinking about what's happening with your particular character? Are there things going on that you're not liking about your character's story? Are there things that you want to see your character deal with? Constantly keeping these lines of communication open with the players and encouraging them to talk to you, to talk to the other players. Again, communication is a two-way street, and it is remarkably difficult to build avenues of communication. It is super, super easy to destroy them. And inter-party conflicts can happen where there's two players that just aren't getting along, whether it's because of what happened in-game or outside of the game. All that stuff is really outside of your control, and there's not a ton you can do about it other than encourage and reward your players for communicating with you. All the players in just about, I think in all of my games, I have one-on-one communications with, whether it's through Facebook messages, Discord messages, emails. I have places where only me and that character can talk. And also, we will have group places. I have a Facebook message group where my players, for one of my campaigns, where my players can just get in and to talk to. For another one, I've actually created an entire Discord channel, which is just for the players and me to talk about the campaign or anything else. You know, let them talk to each other and hang out and have fun. You know, so stuff like that is good. But encourage as much as you can open communications. Talk with your players one-on-one if you can, and talk to your players as a group. Another technique that I use to get players invested is eventually in a campaign, once it's been going for a little while, I will make a magic item for every player where we sit down and we go, hey, if you were to have, you know, a special item that kind of defines your character, what would it be? And sometimes it's a weapon, sometimes it's a ring or a cloak or something like that. But I sit down and go, okay, well, what kind of stuff would you want it to do? What would be cool for your character? And we sit there and we build these, you know, magic items. I call them character items because they are linked to the character specifically and intrinsically. And then as the campaign goes on, those items get more powerful. Now, if you're not into custom designing magic items, because it's a very technical process, it can go very badly very quickly if you don't understand game balance, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is find a magic item that they like and go, okay, we're going to link this to your character by doing this, and customize the look of the item, or give it some just non-mechanical difference that makes that item very special and very different for that person. Like maybe they want a longsword. They're a fighter, but they want a special longsword. Okay, give them a +1 longsword. But say there's runes on it that glow whenever you draw the sword, and those runes, you know, spell out you know, their personal code of honor or something like that. You don't have to change the weapon at all. And then as they keep going, instead of, oh, you found a new sword, go, oh, something's wrong with your sword. Well, they're already connected to it because, you know, you did that first kind of visual for the thing that made them want it more. Then go, something's wrong with the sword. It feels like it's changing. And as you do this, you go, oh, look, now it has this property. And go, now it's a flame tongue weapon. Oh, well, that's really cool now. And you don't have to design a brand new weapon or anything like that. You just say, instead of, oh, you found a new sword, say, oh, your sword has changed. You stabbed it into a fire elemental. Now it's a flame tongue weapon for, whatever reason. Again, you're the GM or DM. BS your way out of it. But let them have something connected to their character that grows with the character that they found in the world, because that will invest them in the campaign. And then as they go on and they realize that if they're invested in this and they to take care of it, that their actions are going to affect their weapon and make it more powerful. They're going to be invested in the campaign. They're going to want to try different things because, wow, I stabbed this fire elemental, and it changed my sword into a flame tongue weapon. What would happen if I stabbed a water elemental with it? Would it change as well, or maybe we're fighting a white dragon? Maybe if I get the dragon to breathe on it, it'll do something different. They'll want to see what happens next with this weapon, and it really just takes open up the DMG or Xanathar's or whatever magic item repertory you want to, and go, okay, it's time for an upgrade for the party. Instead of finding something new, we're just going to say your weapon morphs. Your to transforms, it gets more powerful. It's a really effective tool for making people feel more connected to the campaign, to have something that's personal to their character, that through their character's actions becomes more powerful. If you are like me and you like designing new stuff, letting them be a part of the design process is another great way that'll get them even more invested. And even if you're not into the designing, having a conversation going, well, your sword, you've had it for a while. What if it got more powerful? Like, what if the sword got more powerful? If it was to become maybe a different magic weapon, what kind of things would you like to see it do? Or you can just very innocuously go, if we were to get a new magic item or something, what kind of magic items interest you guys? Some people could kind of see that as, letting the players just have a wish list and then giving them whatever they want. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. It's their campaign just as much as it is yours. So if they want something for their character, not only is it not a bad idea to give it to them if they earn it, but linking the acquisition of a new item that they want to doing something interesting or fun in the game is going to make them that much more invested. So, definitely a good idea to go that route. Finally, and this is something I learned in management that applies equally well to running a game, is the idea of a lot of people will think, they don't want their players like whining or complaining, because that means they're not having fun, which is technically true. But I found the absolute best thing you can do in most situations is encourage your players to, if they are having a problem, to voice it. Whether it's voicing it with you personally, voicing it with the group. Never, ever, ever did discourage a player from voicing a problem that they're having, either with the campaign, with their character, with another player. The key to ensuring this doesn't become a rift within the party is focus on keeping things from becoming personal attacks. Focus on actions versus people. So like the idea of, you're playing a campaign and maybe you have a rogue, and the rogue, because they've decided to play this way, likes to steal things from other players. I know that's a cardinal sin in some campaigns. This is why. One of the other players go, you know what? Just screw this. All right. Every time I get something nice, this person steals it or tries to steal it, and if I don't roll high enough, I'm going to lose something that I want. I don't like this. I want you to stop. Focus on the action, not the player. If they go, listen, you're playing this character so badly. No. Adjust it to, I don't like these actions that your character is taking. Rather than you are doing a bad job, no, these actions that your character is taking are stopping me from having fun. And that should be the focus every single time, is this idea of everything that happens in the game should be going towards the goal of everyone having fun. It's a game. You're supposed to have fun. So if someone brings up a complaint, acknowledge the complaint. Don't belittle the complaint ever. Even if you do think that they're being a diva or that they're just whining and complaining, the absolute best way to form a rift in a party or ruin a relationship is to belittle someone's feelings, especially if they're taking the time to voice those feelings. So acknowledge that they've said this, and that it's okay that they've said it, that no one's angry with them, even if someone is angry. Insist upon the idea, okay, guys, this person has said something. This is something that's important to them, so it's important to all of us, because all of us are involved in this game. And so this is something that we need to deal with. No one involved is a bad person or a bad player. Everyone has made choices, and some of those choices have created conflict. And conflict is what drives a story, but sometimes conflict can stop a story. So we're just going to talk about this without getting mad at anyone, without blaming anyone. We're just talk about what it is that you're feeling, the things that aren't fun for you. We're going to talk about the actions that are happening, and then we're going to find a way to resolve it, so that everyone is happy. No one in the group has more power. The person that's not having fun does not automatically become the most important person in the group at that point. Everyone should be having fun, and everyone has an equal say. There will be situations where people's play styles don't gel. It happens, and they can still play at the same table even when their play styles don't gel. It just takes stepping back a little bit and going, hey, we're all adults here. Or if you're playing with kids, hey, we're all humans here. We all want to have fun. If this person is having a really large problem with this particular action, let's go back to the rogue stealing things. Hey, person that's playing the rogue, this person is not enjoying this aspect of the game. Is there a way that we can just modify your character a little bit so that they don't do that to this character? Other players, would you mind if this still continues but with you? Or is this something that we just want to end? And go from there. Have people to talk. Encourage people. If someone's not talking, go, hey, I notice you haven't said anything about this. Do you have any feelings on this? Either way or the other? Are you more neutral? I don't want anyone to feel like they haven't been heard. And at the end of it, ensure everyone understands that this was a good thing. That bringing up issues that you're having, even if they have nothing to do with the game, you're just having a hard day, and this day you just can't handle being the butt of the joke. It's perfectly fine. That's completely okay. And some things may be okay one day and not okay another. And that's perfectly fine. Doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you impossible to deal with. Different days we struggle with different things. So ensure that everyone in the group understands that if they're ever not having fun, if they're ever having a problem with a specific player, with just how the campaign is going, encourage them to go bring it up. If they don't want to bring it up with the whole group, have them bring it up with you individually. Thank them for bringing them up, because the problem can't be solved if no one knows the problem exists. And this goes both ways. If you, as the DM, are having a problem, you should bring it up. And again, you don't accuse people. You don't target specific people. You talk about actions. You talk about what can we do to ensure everyone is having fun. And to do your best to not judge people. Again, everyone is there to have fun. So if there's something that's happening to you, the DM, that's stopping you from having fun, sitting everyone down and going, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know, I have not been having fun. These are the things that I am feeling right now. This is a thing we learned in, you learned in the therapy. Using I feel statements are really powerful, impactful. So things like, I feel kind of abused when you guys did to do this, or I feel neglected when you guys don't do this. And really just a simple one is players that are constantly showing up late for your game. You can sit down and go, hey guys, I'm having a problem. I'd like to talk to you all about it. I personally feel a little bit insulted when people show up to the game late. I do a lot of prep work for this. And I have a schedule I have to keep to. And when you guys just show up late, it just really kind of feels to me, it makes me feel that what I'm doing is just not valuable enough to you for you to show up on time. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of that's what you're doing. I'm saying that's how it feels to me. What do you guys feel? What do you guys think about this? And you may find some people that just go, you know what? I had no idea. That's how it made you feel. Time is just not that big a deal for me. I'll make a more concerted effort to be here. Or could go a completely different way. You know what? The reason I show up late is because for the first 20 minutes of the game, we don't do anything. We just sit around and chat, which to me is a waste of my time. And I feel kind of insulted that you guys are wasting my time. And then you can talk about that. But it's never people that are the problem. It is actions. And those actions can be corrected, or at least changed by just talking about it. If someone doesn't have the ability to show up on time, then it doesn't matter how bad it makes you feel. They physically don't have the ability to be there at that time. And maybe that means you need to change what the time you play. Maybe that means you just have to kind of accept that their character isn't going to be there at the beginning, and you can start without their character. Or it may mean that person just can't play at the table. Generally, that's a bad, that should be a last resort, because once you start kicking people out of the game, it changes the dynamics, and it creates a real bad environment. The best thing to happen in situations like that is for everyone to agree, you know what? we really like you. We really love playing, but in order for this to go, we need people that can be here. So if you can't be here, you can't be a part of the group. And just let it be, but based on that, don't kick people out of your games. It sets a really bad precedent. So those are my ideas on how to keep the DM anxiety from overwhelming you from a completely different standpoint. Remember, it's everyone's responsibility at the table to ensure that everyone, including the DM, is having fun. As the DM, you have a little bit more control over what's who's having fun. Simply because you have control over more of what's happening being the GM, and people will kind of because you're the GM or the DM, they will kind of just look to you to be the person that settles disputes and everything like that, because that's what you do with rules. In order to encourage your players to take that interest, ensuring everyone is having a good time. Make them invest in the game from the beginning. Don't be a jerk about it. Don't be tyrannical about it. But have them have that little bit of investment right from the beginning of the campaign. Second, give them something personal for their character that will grow with their character. Magic items are wonderful for that. There are some systems that don't use magic items or don't have magic items that work quite that way. Give them something else, such as trinkets. This is something that can grow and change as their characters grow, that is connected to the world. It will increase their investment. And finally, communication. Communication is absolutely essential. So communicate with your players. Encourage them to be invested in their own characters as a story. Ask them what they want for their character as they grow, and then ensure that you are using their feedback. And on the other half of communication, encourage your players to bring up problems that they're having with the game. Anything that's keeping them from having fun should not be something that they bottle up. Encourage them to talk to you, but personally, encourage them to talk with the entire group. The more the group can kind of accept the idea that it's everybody's job to make sure that everybody is having a good time, and that it doesn't fall on just one person, the better time everyone is going to have. So I hope that this is something that can help alleviate a little of that DM stress. Like I said, that bad experience I had scarred me for a very, very long time. And it's only just recently that I've started realizing that I need to be less critical and less focused on everything being my fault, and kind of spread the responsibility to everyone. And again, this isn't an accusatory or a derogatory aspect of, hey, this is your job to do. No, it's treating people with the respect and the dignity to let them know that you trust them enough to let them have a say in everyone being happy at the table. This is a good group game. Everyone in the group should be working together. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said before, please check out Dael's video. Hers is a lot more concise and probably makes a lot more sense, and is a lot shorter. And it's really good advice, especially for the DMs that haven't quite figured out their style, which has nothing to do with how long you've been DMing. I know DMs that have been doing it for decades that are just now learning their particular style. and other ones that have only been doing it for a year that instantly knew this is my style, this is what I want to do. So it's not a new or young the DM thing. It is just an aware DM. So anyway, that's all for me today, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.